everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Flashback 64, the chronological Nintendo 64 podcast. I'm Gooey, and I'm joined as always by my co-host McKenna.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
We're shaking the rust off a bit here.
Yeah.
We haven't recorded. For the listeners at home, it won't seem that out of the ordinary, but we haven't recorded in a while, so we're like,
yeah,
derusting.
It's like a different season here now.
That's true. We came home and it went from being like way too hot, and now it's fall. So I'm all out of sorts because of it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a great episode to like get back into it with, because it's a game I have a lot of fond memories of. Like, I played this back in the day. We'll talk about it. Obviously, we had a great time playing it together. Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. But first, we've also got a great panel of guests on to discuss this game. I think all signs are pointing to this is a great episode. So let's bring our guests in. Joining us from the Fine Time podcast, we've got Steve. Hey, Steve. How's it going?
Doing all right. I was trying to find out what that smell was, but it's that shaking rust smell. I put it together now. I'm following along.
Sorry to get rust up in your face, but hopefully we'll be all right.
No, it's fine. It's rustic.
It's great to have you. I'm a big proponent of Fine Time. It's great to have someone on who's not Andre. Finally.
Oh, don't be like that. He's great. Especially since he's in charge. Don't hit me. No, but it's good to finally be on, and we're talking about a game I've played before too. So we'll get into all that in a bit.
Awesome. Yeah, great to have you on. We've also got another great guest on, game designer Chris Totten. Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Good. I actually did not grow up with this game and only played it recently for the podcast. So I'm really excited to get into this one because it was awesome, and I can't wait to gush about that.
Okay, awesome. I'm excited. Also want to shout you out as well. You're currently working on a game, Little Nemo and the Nightmare Fiends, which looks awesome. I think I've talked to you about all kinds of different things like that. I'd love to have you on the show to talk about, but I'm glad to like finally get you on here to talk about N64 game.
Right. Yeah. And so our tech lead on Little Nemo, Ben Cole, another fellow like longtime game designer, he used to work for Bandai Namco. But he actually told me when we were talking about me being on this podcast that this is one of his favorite games ever. And then when he said that, and then I started testing, our game again, I was like, wait a minute, parts of this feel a lot like Mystical Ninja. So there's like even a little Goemon in Little Nemo, just because Ben likes some of the game feel so well.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so that's even more of a plug for your game. Like if you like Mystical Ninja, I think maybe there's something that's sweetened the deal for me already, because I feel like I would love to have you on just to talk about it, because just speaking of the time period, I know it's a little bit prior to the N64 era, but I have a lot of fond memories of like the Little Nemo stuff from before. Like right. When I was a kid, I would watch like the film, and I played the NES game and stuff. So would love to gush about that and talk about your game more in depth sometime.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it'd be a lot of fun.
Well, I guess one thing that I like to ask all the new people who come onto the show, we were just talking about the N64 era. Chris, what was your like gaming life like around this time, like the late 90s, 1998? Like, were you an N64 kid, or what were you playing on?
So I was about 11 when N64 came out, because I was born in 85. Kind of same year the NES came out. And I was in middle school, and I didn't get N64 right when it came out. I got it for my next birthday. My parents did this little thing where they were like, "We got you Mario Kart," and then they handed me Mario Kart 64. And I was like, "Oh, but we don't have N64." And they were like, "Oh, we just thought we were getting Mario Kart. Maybe you can play this later when you get an N64." And then brought an N64 out. Yeah, they did a
Love
little
that.
fake out. Yeah, no, and I was roughly like the N64 kid, where I was like, Nintendo 64.
Prime age for that.
And then we had to run. Right, and then we had to like run out to the store to go get an RS Switch, which was the style at the time. But no, I had N64 around that time. I was very Nintendo pilled via Nintendo Power, so I was like big into N64. I didn't have like another console until high school when I started working and like had disposable income to get something else in addition to like GameCube. But yeah, I played a lot of action games, played Mario, and Mario 64 was, for me who did only like a little bit of PC gaming, was like a huge moment. Now you look back and you're like, well, you all kind of even talk about this on like other episodes of the show where there's like the Mario 64 school of early 3D and the Tomb Raider school of early 3D and the Quake school of early 3D. So, yeah, like, so when Mario 64 came out though, and you could like run Mario in a circle, like I remember renting it and my dad being like, "Hey, just give me the controller," and then would run Mario in circles. And be like, wow. That was like a big deal at the time. So, and again, if you were a Nintendo kid, mainly, you were into that. So yeah, as a result, though, I also like didn't jump into RPGs more fully until like a little bit later, because there were not many on N64. I caught up, but at the time, because I would mostly play PlayStation at friends' houses. I definitely had like more of an action game focus to my gameplay and eventually action adventure like this one.
Yeah, I had pretty much the same backstory. Like definitely missed a lot of RPGs and stuff like that, and I was always jealous of my friends who had like your Final Fantasies and stuff like that on the PlayStation. It's like, oh, I wish I could play that. But yeah, that's what this. We'll get into it, but this game specifically, like, definitely met me at a right time when I played it back in the day. Steve, I kind of got a good idea about what you were up to just because there's hours and hours of you talking about it on the wonderful Fine Time podcast. But maybe tell our listeners what was your gaming diet like? I know you're a big Super Nintendo guy.
If you followed me from Fine Time, I'm the Super Nintendo liker, and I was very much firmly in the Super Nintendo camp at the time. Which means I was very much reading Nintendo Power, much like Chris, and reading about the Nintendo Ultra 64 at the time. And having to wait that extra year was agony. But man, I waited that extra year, and I played the Mario 64 demo in the store. And that Christmas, I had to wait for Christmas. I was only 9. I didn't have disposable income to buy it day one like other people. But I got Mario 64 and Pilot Wings and Wave Race for Christmas. Rest in peace, Grandma. I miss my grandma.
Aww.
But that I was having a great Christmas that year. But yeah, funny you bring up them RPGs. I love them RPGs on Super Nintendo, and I was not getting them on N64. For my diet for most of that time was having the two Super Nintendo and N64 coexist on 2 RF cables hooked together, daisy chained together.
Oh, fancy!
Because I'm gonna need both to coexist together for some time, but. Again, more stuff we'll delve into in a little bit.
Yeah. I remember that being a source of anxiety for me, like over the years as like TV inputs changed and like it wasn't all standard, like sometimes it was a really old TV or like a new old console on like a sort of later 90s like it would always be like, oh, I'd be stressed out about like how I was going to hook my games up to my TV. We kind of take it for granted now.
When I was teaching a games history class at a university, when I was living in DC, I would take a CRT on the Metro along with my Atari 2600, because there was no inputs for coaxial in the room anymore. So I had to basically like lug my whole Atari setup on the Washington D.C. Metro, and then like take a bus or something to be able to haul it to campus. For that very reason, now we have a lot of like aftermarket HDMI compatible, consoles. That's actually what got me to start collecting N64 games. Not like serious collecting, like trying to get a full catalog or anything, but just picking up titles that I thought like I missed the first time around. And that's how I ended up getting another copy of Goemon.
Oh, nice.
It's like I got it on eBay, and it is an expensive game right now.
Yes.
N64 somehow seems to have avoided like what Super Nintendo has seen, where like the prices are ridiculous. The prices are pretty okay compared to other consoles in the aftermarket, but like Goemon's just one of those games. I found one with a like messed up. It was like a rental cartridge, and somebody wrote on the sticker, and that just like takes it right out of being collectible. So I'm like, oh, that's mine. I actually want to play this thing.
Yeah, it is. This is one of the first ones. Like, well, I eventually just figured out how to use my EverDrive, and now for preparing, we still play on N64, but I just have all the games on that. But as we go, I've kind of been filling out like my collection, just because I kind of like the visual when someone's over. It's like, what should we play? And so like having the actual cartridge is nice, but this was the first one where I was like, besides ones I already own that might be expensive, where I was like, I'm not buying this cartridge. I think I bought Mischief Makers, which was kind of expensive, but I was like, I can't keep buying all these, especially now that I have access to the game. So I bought the Japanese cartridge of it just to put a label on it, and I have it in our collection to look at. But when we just have the EverDrive to play it. So
hello, we are Kirby Conversations, a podcast on Kirby, along with other adjacent subjects like Smash Brothers, HAL Laboratory, and other related Nintendo games.
In each episode, we take an in-depth, well-researched look at a Kirby topic, drawing on our decades of experience playing Kirby games, creating Kirby-related content, and working in and around the video game industry. I'm Sean Douglas. I'm a theater and video game journalist.
And my name's Bridget. I'm an online Kirby commentator and collector.
Our team also includes photographer and Nintendo ambassador Kai, Captain Dangerous Parker, and Gigi, the editor-in-chief of Wick Kirby. Join us for deep dives into Kirby's history, interviews with industry professionals, and even inside looks at Nintendo, as together we explore all things Kirby and HAL Laboratory. You can find Kirby Conversations on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
let's jump into we'll do our flashback segment before we go further into talking about the game. So we're going to let people know what was going on at the time this game was released. And we're actually not moving forward in time on our chronological timeline, because in North America, this game was released April 16th, 1998, which is the same day as our last game, which was 1080 Snowboarding. So a good cool day. I think that's a good double release, I would say. But I figured I'd let you guys weigh in on the issues of the day. The big things that everyone was talking about was either Titanic or the speculation around Bill Clinton's sex scandal were kind of the big topics in the news. So, Steve, do any of those things tickle your fancy? Any memories you have of this time?
Yeah, nobody shut up about Titanic. I feel like people still talk about Titanic sometimes, and
we do.
I wish they'd stop.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm kidding. I don't need to see it again.
Chris, how about you? What any thoughts on either of these things? You don't have to have a necessarily a hot take, but any memory about this?
No, I don't think. I don't know. Is it really a hot take if it's from 1998? April 16th is the day after my birthday. So this came out the day after my birthday in 1998. Yeah, no, I liked Titanic. I'd seen it a few times. It's a good movie. It's a very long movie. It's back when like you could like movies would come on 2 VHSs.
Oh yeah,
So
big thick
yeah, that was
box.
I do remember that was like in peak Leonardo DiCaprio hype period. I remember that was just like when everybody was like into Leonardo DiCaprio, and you know, he was almost in like too much. Now you kind of are like, after many years, you're like, no, he is a good actor. But at the time, he was just like the hot guy in movies, like in every movie. But yeah, no, I mean, it's great movie. Like taking away from like just the pop culture saturation of it at that time.
All right, no one's got anything to say about Bill Clinton. That's
that's fine.
That depends on what the definition of is.
Oh yeah, I wonder when that we have tracked some of his famous we're like a few episodes away off from I did not have sexual relations with that woman. I don't know when I don't think that's happened yet. So
I mean, I think that's kind of the thing that makes it hard to have like a hot take at this particular period, is that it wasn't just like that one time. It's like the OJ trial back then. It was not just like that one day. It was like
1998.
Yeah, it was 1998. So like there's just little pieces that would come out all the time. So it was just like in the air the whole time, just like Titanic was.
That's actually one thing I've noticed is like the remnants of, because the OJ, like the trial was like a few years before, but like people were still, especially like late night stuff, Saturday Night Live and talk shows and stuff, were like kind of feeding off of that, like, and any little tidbit that came out, any new, whatever new thing would come out, and like you feel like this the sex scandal was like, oh my god, okay, finally, like something new to like sink our teeth into, like they're like, okay, let's go ham on this now for a few years.
I mean, maybe that's my big hot take, is like, remember when stuff used to last for a long time, and not be like, and like out of our like we'd have collective amnesia of like whatever happened last week. Like I was listening to We Didn't Start the Fire on the radio like a little while ago. And I was like, all that got to be spread across 40 years? Sounds relaxing.
Now, like one of my friends at the end of like every year, he's like looking up like, oh, someone made a 2025 We Didn't Start the Fire, and it's, you got enough for a whole song there. By the time this episode comes out, which is
last week,
this episode will come out in like a month, and like the like whatever the like having the side of the White House being torn off, like no one will care or talk about that anymore. So,
well, they would have kicked him out in 1998 if he did that.
Oh my god.
Maybe that's what's also fun about looking at the presidential scandals of old. There's a lot.
They seem so quaint.
Yeah, which I don't want to say about Bill Clinton, but anyway, we can move on from that. I guess we passed by your birthday in the last. We haven't really like honored birthdays or really holidays so much on the podcast. Sorry, so happy birthday, I guess.
Yeah, I don't remember that birthday.
Fair enough, but you were alive.
Yeah, I was 3.
So okay, 3. I think the only time we've talked about a holiday was the Thanksgiving Day parade, so we could talk about the balloon popping event at the Macy's parade. But
everyone's stabbing the balloon to death.
The police just murdering the Barney balloon. That was a good time.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. That was we talked about that on our Bomberman 64 episode. So go check that out.
That's right.
Otherwise, I mean, there were like April does have like a lot of the major holidays. There's Eid and Passover and Easter. I think all happened in April 1998. And I didn't mention this on the last episode, but because I think I just missed it. But I guess one historical thing was the Good Friday Agreement.
Good evening. A historic day at Stormont. After 2 years of talks and after a generation of bloodshed and decades of division and acrimony, George Mitchell ushers in what the whole island hopes will be a new era of peace. An agreement that unites Loyalist and Republican, Unionist and Nationalist leaders in a wide-ranging historical accord.
I can't speak too much on that, but you want to? We're really going to get into the troubles on this podcast to do a deep dive, along with OJ and whatever else.
Mystical Ninja starring Goemon is an action-adventure game set in a fantasy version of Japan, where you must stop the Peach Mountain shoguns from transforming Japan into a stage and forcing all to participate in its theater. Your party includes 4 characters, Goemon, Ebisumaru, Yae, and Sasuke, each of whom have their own weapons and abilities, like Ebisumaru's shrinking and Yae's mermaid transformation. You'll explore towns, mountains, and forests, gathering information from townsfolk, fighting enemies, and solving puzzles. You'll also get to navigate dungeons and occasionally play as the giant robot Impact in an auto-running section where you'll smash buildings and enemies and jump to avoid obstacles. Then you'll control Impact in a first-person one-on-one battle. Defeat the Peach Mountain shoguns to save Japan in Mystical Ninja starring Goemon.
All right, great. So yeah, this was originally released August 7th, 1997 in Japan. Developed by Konami, produced by Shigeharu Umezaki, and directed by Etsunobu Ebisu. And it is part of the Ganbare Goemon series, which I think this is only the second one to actually make it over to the US. There was Legend of the Mystic Ninja, I believe it was, on the Super Nintendo. Steve, in general, is this a series you have much of a history with? Not living in Japan, you know.
You know, it's funny you bring that up. I played these wildly out of order. I played this one first, but not without reading about the original one dozens of times in the Super Nintendo guide. Like, Nintendo Power had these guides, and one was for early Super Nintendo games, and Mystical Ninja, I think it was just called Legend of Mystical Ninja, was in there. And they weren't called Goemon and Ebisumaru. They had unfortunate names I don't think I could repeat on the air. And
it could be worse, I think, but I'm not going to defend
it. But they're definitely Goemon and Ebisumaru. And like, I would actually buy that game that summer after playing this game at a craft fair, so I'm like, I was destined to get into this series eventually.
Okay, cool. Have you ever gone and further?
We only got 4 of these games, and the Game Boy one I play on 3DS Virtual Console. It's not very good. Which would only leave the N64 sequel, which I haven't played.
Okay. This game and the sequel were both. I didn't play this when it came out. I played a few years later after the sequel had come out, and I think they were both rentals for me. I think I actually probably played the sequel more because when we first, like, I hadn't played this since we started preparing, and I was remembering things about it, and then as we played it, I was like, oh, I've definitely played this, but a lot of things I was recalling was from the sequel. So I don't know. It was cool though to kind of go back and like experience it with a fresh set of eyes. Chris, how about you? Do you have? You said you had never played this game, but I saw you were like looking into other games from the series and stuff.
Yeah, so I never played this, but it was publicized widely in like Nintendo Power and things like that. And it always looked really cool. I just somehow never ended up picking it up or its sequel. But it was one of those ones that I always like when I would think about, when I start picking up N64 games again, I need to get Mystical Ninja. So again, like I said, I eventually started doing that and I picked it up. And I was like, okay, now it's time to play it. And I was like, this is awesome. I had actually played by then other games in the series. I played Legend of the Mystical Ninja. That game is really hard.
Oh yeah.
That is a tough game. And I was even just playing it like right before this to kind of be able to give some kind of like perspective on the series or something like that. And I was like, am I supposed to be getting my butt kicked? Like it's a tough action game. It's really good. And it has a lot of character to it. I have owned Gonberry Goemon 3 because our local game store had a bunch of Super Famicom games out, and not like a whole lot of people around me have a Super Famicom. And I have both one and a analog Super NT, which plays Super Famicom
cool.
games. So I just was like, oh, Goemon 3, yeah, let's go. And that game's actually a lot like Mystical Ninja. It has a lot of the same like structure, but before then they were pretty like straightforward action games. And then that one is very much like you go to castles that are dungeon like side-scrolling dungeons, and then you can like walk around and explore towns in the countryside in between, just like this one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then I also ended up getting a copy of the sequel to this. I had to go to Japan for that. Like when I was over there for a conference like this past summer, I was like, oh my gosh, they have this game that costs too much money. So I picked it up there, and am looking forward to getting into that one. But yeah, no, I played this when I got it, and then when you asked me to be on this episode, I was like, okay, well, there's an excuse to just play all the way through start to finish. And this game is delightful. It is incredible. I've thought a lot about whether 1998 me would be into this, because it is so like pop culture Japanese in a really good, endearing way, but in a way that I, as a person in 2025, when anime has been more normalized in the West versus like 1998 me, who is very much like just being introduced to it by Toonami.
Right
like,
around that time.
I would have been very confused by a lot of this.
Yeah.
But I love it.
I feel like I really thought the humor of the game, I did really love it, because I thought it had that, but I also thought it had a lot of things going on. Like you could tell like the original game, like in Japanese, I assume had a lot, like there was a lot of humor just linked to the game regardless of like the translation. Like you tell it was right. Meant to be humorous. But then there was a lot of like, and like with a lot of pop culture references that it's kind of funny, because it's like things I don't fully get, and some things I do, and that kind of makes it like, oh hey, I sort of got that. But then it also has this extra layer of like, you can tell like when it was translated, they're like, oh, we could let's kind of put our own twist on it a little bit too. So I don't know, there was like multiple like layers, I think, to the humor of the game that really worked for me.
Right. And like when I was playing, I played a little like Goemon 3 a few nights ago, because I had read that was like the one that really started taking the series in this direction. It has a lot of the same stuff. I can't read Japanese, so I couldn't read like all the jokes, but it has a laugh track. It has a lot of like the physical comedy going on in it. Yeah, it has a laugh track like this one does. Yeah, so that would have, and when to be clear, when I say I like 1998 wouldn't have been into it, that's because I was like a dumb teenager and thought I was too cool for stuff. But just all the extra tidbits to this, like the Impact transformation sequence when he gets into the robot and they do the like song for the robot, that is supposed to directly be like 1970s like giant robot Sentai type things.
It's so
and the
good.
Guy they got, right, it's incredible. Like I showed my kids that like right before this, because I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be on the Goemon episode. They're like, what? And I was like, no, you got to see this sequence of the game, and they thought it was like amazing. But cool. Apparently the guy that they got to sing it like sang songs for those shows in the 70s. So it's this like delightful piece of pop culture like, again, 1998 me would have been like, what? Like, amazing, but what?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There was definitely a lot of stuff like that when I was a kid where I was like, I don't get this, but it like almost made it seem like cooler to me. Like, oh, I'm sophisticated because I like this thing that I don't understand, you know, where now it's like I take kind of a different joy out of this. Steve, how do you find the humor of this game?
I mean, I really wasn't thinking one way or the look. I gotta tell you, where I was in 1998, I already did tell you.
Yeah.
I was having a good time with my N64, but there was a lot of racing games, and you know, after Star Fox 64 and GoldenEye, I'm like, what are we gonna do now? I'm like, okay, I'm jonesing for something more. Substantial. I need an RPG or an action adventure or something, and we're not going to have Zelda 64. We didn't know it was Ocarina of Time yet. For what, another year? Where we're getting drip fed these screenshots. I need something,
right?
But then the magazines are showing off this Legend of the Mystical Ninja game, and we're like seeing this guy running around with the blue hair, and he's picking up not pieces of heart and exploring castles and solving puzzles, and I'm like, this might do it, guys.
Did it work for you at the time, or
I mean I didn't want to barge in with this, but
no.
April of 1998 was also my birthday, so
that's a happy
I got this around the time.
April. Oh, I'm outnumbered here.
so I did get this around that time, and yes, this did scratch a very important itch at the time where I have a Zelda-esque game for me to on the Nintendo 64 until a real Zelda comes out.
Definitely, yeah.
And yes, it was weird. Well, not even that weird, because you know why? Because Japan was making most of our games already. We got a game about a plumber fighting turtles, and even Zelda's a game about an elf fighting a blue pig wizard. I mean, who cares, right? I mean,
yeah, the weird. Some of the weirdness is like, oh, that's video game stuff. I feel like it's just like it's slightly next level, just because there's like fourth wall breaking and pop culture references, even like American pop culture references and stuff like that. You know.
I mean, they say this guy's a ninja, but so are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So who cares?
Sure.
I think it had the courage to have a untranslated anime intro in a video game at the time. And that again, like, you know, if you're not playing PlayStation and seeing these kind of intro animations, was like really refreshing. And even then, like when I boot it up now and I've seen tons and tons of that kind of thing in video games, you know, when I play this with like my 1998 goggles on, I'm like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, I find it very charming. I want to talk about the Zelda factor with you, McKenna, but I, before we move on from like the tone or like the humor, what did you think of that? I know you were you were like trying to remember some of your favorite, like there's a lot, like every NPC you talk to has like a funny line and good bits. Like, what did you think about the humor in the game?
Yeah, it definitely has a lot of that fourth wall breaking. I think one of the dogs kind of, you know, the dogs in the game talk to you like they're humans, and one of them kind of mentions that, you know, it's I don't remember exactly what he says, but it's like, you know, you're talking to me like a human or something.
Oh yeah, like how can I'm a dog or whatever. Or what was the
And there's like a guard who's like, what if this game was Mystical Ninja starring guardsmen? Then it would be a lot less boring for us. We just have to stand here the whole game.
Yeah, like acknowledging it's a game and stuff like that. It was very fun. I was just like firing it up just before we recorded, kind of just like play it for a little bit more. Like I was playing the beginning again, and I just like, even just encountering some of the early ones, like I took a screenshot of one NPC who says something to you, and then just like a massive caps is just heck, like exclamation point.
Yeah.
Or there's like kid, I took a picture of a kid who's telling you about like a policeman or something in the town, and then he ends the dialogue by just saying, by the way, I have no job. Okay. Like all the characters are like real freaks.
Well, and that's actually like, again, I feel like I liked this at the time. I appreciate this more now. Is that it has that like what we'd probably identify now as like that Link's Awakening, Mother 2, Mother 3, like, you know, Earthbound kind of writing or Undertale writing, where it is like, you know, it's musical theater kids trying to take over Japan and turn it into their giant theater troupe. That's amazing. And then plasma, you know, like that, those kind of things, and the fourth wall breaking, and like the characters being like, you're a weirdo, you know, and the giant blinking text when they do stuff like that. It's just so much fun to be in this goofy world. And again, like a laugh track, you know. It's a game made of dad jokes.
Yeah, there is a lot of
like
that,
the most
for
endearing
sure.
way.
I remembered it being, and I think it might be more from the sequel, because I remembered it being like slightly more adult, which it didn't really, like right in the beginning. There's sort of there's the part where Ebisumaru is like comes out of the shop and he's like shirtless or whatever, and he's like, oh, I was trying to get a discount with my like special dance or something like that. And then there's not really much else there. I think there might be more. I remember like that character being like more perverted or something like that, but maybe just for a kid, like that was like really edgier. I probably played it when I was like 10, so but there might be something more in the sequel. And I know there's some stuff that is like left like untranslated that's a bit more adult. Like one of my favorite bits in the game is with the old man, I think it is. And in this game, like when they destroy his house or whatever, he laments that they destroyed all his like automotive magazines or something like that, which I think in the original it was some type of pornographic material or something like that.
It had to be.
Yeah.
It had. This is the first time I've been playing since I was a kid, and I'm sitting here doing that. I'm like, there's no way he lost Muscle Car magazine.
That cracked me up.
There's no way.
To me, it was almost funnier that he was like, "Oh no, my auto magazine." It's like, I don't know. It really got me. So yeah, Steve, you talked about scratching the Zelda itch. And McKenna and I are both like heavily involved in the Zelda community. And I was excited to get to this because I sort of remembered like, oh, there's like some Zelda-y stuff to this game. And I think we had a great time. I mean, we showed it off to a lot of our people, a lot of our friends in the community were like watching it. We streamed it and stuff. And I think we like kind of got some people. Our friend Miranda, who does like our art, actually drew us up some art that we're going to put on a sticker and everything, and just because like she thought the character designs were so cool and everything. But anyway, for you, McKenna, what do you think? Does it scratch a Zelda itch for you?
Yeah, I think while we were playing, I was like, this is the most Zelda like thing we've played so far. It's got dungeons. They're not as puzzly as most Zelda dungeons. There is a little bit of kind of exploring and backtracking. You know, you've got locked doors and keys. But I think more than the dungeons is that there were all these towns and the spaces between the towns to go explore and hang out in, and just NPCs to talk to and get information from. I think that's the part that really got me with the Zelda like aspect.
I mean, I think this is we're going through on the podcast. We're going through the library in chronological order, North American release date, and I think this is like the first game we've played. Like Steve, you sort of mentioned it. Like there's racing games and Star Fox, and you know, McKenna, we've played a lot of games that I mean, I think you found enjoyment for new genres and stuff like that, but we've played a lot of stuff that's sort of out of your wheelhouse. And I think this might be like the first game that's like really more like your style of game.
Yeah. There are other games that we've played that I've enjoyed a lot, but this is probably the first one where, if it was released today, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's a type of game I like.
Yeah.
I would get.
Yeah, you would for sure pick that up. Yeah, I like what you're saying about the dungeons or whatever you want to call them in the game. It was very Zelda-like, but yeah, it was a bit like this is pre Ocarina of Time, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like an early 3D Zelda-like before Ocarina of Time, and the dungeons, like it's got a bit more of like a lock and key sort of classic Zelda dungeon sort of design. There's kind of like memorable like things in all the dungeons, like just like the setting and stuff like that, but Ocarina of Time, yeah, definitely has a bit more of elaborate like mechanics to, like, I think of like the water temple or something, of like raising and lowering the water level or whatever, even something as basic as like jumping through the web in the Great Deku Tree. Like, they've got these more elaborate sort of gimmicks to them, but this definitely works for me. Like, I love the classic like lock and key, get the map and the compass. Oh, we got to backtrack over here. There was some slightly more elaborate stuff, but all around that was more contained to like a room as opposed to like a bigger dungeon gimmick.
The dungeons also have really cool theming.
Yes.
It's not like there's a fire dungeon and a water dungeon and a forest dungeon. There's like, you get a mountain action stage when you climb Mount Fuji, but there's like a festival dungeon and a food dungeon and a music dungeon and a castle, and they're just like really fun. The food dungeon in particular, I think, has like especially elaborate theming, and you feel like every little element of it is a little in-joke, which I absolutely adore. I think it's very endearing in that way, because it is doing other more surreal things that you don't get in a standard Zelda.
Yeah, with the gourmet submarine. That was
yeah.
You're like jumping on the soup bowls and things like that. Yeah, very, very cool. Steve, did you have a favorite dungeon or stage or section of this game?
There was that one with the swinging pendulums. I forgot all about that one at first. We end up fighting the not Ganon with the plates in the end of it. I think that's where I really wanted to go back to. I don't think they were just trying to make Zelda, because Konami was, back when they were, a serious game developer, not whatever the hell they're doing now. They used these earlier games to test out the hardware in a way that I'm sure you noticed there were a lot of side games and mini games in Mystical Ninja along the way.
Yeah.
They were all kind of required to progress. There was a lot of that in not our first Mystical Ninja 2, where you could just stop it and be like, hey, you want to bet on some horses or play a level of Gradius for a minute?
Sure.
Or look at these Mode 7 kajiggers just because.
Right.
Like they were. I think they were just. I think that was more of the goal for their Mystical Ninja. I don't think they were. I think it was just to really see what they can do with the N64 more than just let's ape a Zelda.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I don't want to make it sound like it's like purely derivative or anything. Like it's cool though. Like, you can see that there are those different things they're experimenting with. And actually, like, just thinking about that too, like, we've been seeing how a lot of different series or developers or whatever, like, are like transitioning to making games for N64 and more 3D games and stuff. And it's not just like the first game we've played that's like this style of game, but just in general, like, we haven't played a lot of games really where you are just like in a little 3D world and you're wandering around, and just like just kind of chilling in 3D, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, there was Mario, and then there's some other games that are sort of like kind of in between. Like I think of Bomberman, which was great, and even some that are maybe a little less polished, like Chameleon Twist or something like that. But like, it's not like a full, this like actually kind of gives you like a full like 3D world sort of feel to it. So I think there's a pretty strong like appeal and charm to it in that. And it like works pretty well. Like it's definitely not like flawless, like technically, like there was times where it's choppy and stuff like that, but it never got too bad. I don't think they definitely noticed it throughout the game, though, for sure.
Had to restart it
one
once.
of the things that's
we did break the game once. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, wow.
We just used the bombs too much as Sasuke, I think it was. So we were just going ham on the bombs, and I think I saved a clip of it that I could show you. But yeah, the game crashed. We had to start over. Luckily, the save points are pretty good. We didn't like lose too much time or anything. So
it's good that you had save points, because even though I had this game, I had to archive it to play here because I don't have space to set all this up again. And the emulator didn't feel like remembering there was a memory card there, so like, fine, we'll just save state and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever state I felt like loading froze in place, so I had to restart this game twice.
Oh, that's okay.
About a third of the way in.
That's brutal.
So that was fun for me, and it was fine. But it also reminded me of how shorter this game was than I remember it.
It's fairly short. Yeah, it's fairly short and like fairly. It's not too tough, which we can get into. But yeah, Chris, I want you to kind of get your point in.
No, so when it comes to the world element of it, again, like one of the things I actually try to tell my students is like, don't just play a game like you're a person in 2025. Like, learn the skill of being able to look at it from the time it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if I wear my 1998 goggles and I think about how this is a game that came out like months before Ocarina of Time, there definitely is these points where you look across this like big landscape and you're like, wow, that's actually like really huge for an open world in some areas in like 1998. Now it has the typical problem that you see in some of those older games where there's like nothing in this space, or like there's just some enemies dotting it, and then somewhere at the edge is a door, and then that takes you to the town you're trying to get to. But like they hadn't, the language of how to like populate an open world field obviously hadn't been figured out yet. So like, that's really impressive. And again, like when it's not like you're walking for like 20 minutes. It's like, okay, here's 2 minutes and then you found the thing. But yeah, it's got some spaces where you kind of walk around and you go like, wow, and the wild thing about this in this series is that there is not another 3D Goemon game like this. Like,
right.
This is the only one.
Yeah.
I didn't play some of the later ones, but I've heard those are best forgotten.
The sequel I know is like, it's like a side scroller. Like I almost kind of, like I said at first, like I wasn't quite sure the exact format of this game when we were going back to it, because I was like, I remembered both, but I kind of conflated like aspects of each other with it. So I was like, okay, this one's not a side scroller. Okay.
Right. And like the Game Boy one is a top down, and so is Mystical Ninja, except like in the action stages where it's side scroller. But then Ganbare Goemon is like top down in towns, side scrolling in dungeons. So like, again, like that later N64 game. So this is like this weird one-off 3D game, and that makes it even more interesting as like a thing that for us is like the most memorable like core component of this series. Is like, oh, there's this 3D game, and then but it's the only one if you like actually look at the whole series. So it's this weird one-off
right
that I think is our mental image of the series, right?
I kind of wonder if that's like one, I mean, it wasn't the first game they brought, but I wonder if that's one of the reasons why they're like, okay, let's bring this one over, because it's like this might have I mean, if there's something kind of special about it, and it might appeal to. I don't know. I'm kind of curious, like what I would love to know more about, like why they chose what games, because you know in Japan, like there's a million of these games, and I was looking at there's like all these spin-off games and stuff like that. There's like almost too much of the series up until a certain point. I think now it's like dormant. Like I think maybe they might have oversaturated it. I don't know, but I would love to we might have to go into more of a deep dive on that in the future and look at some of those titles and stuff like that, because now I'm like all in on this. Like I love this game,
Right.
So I want to know more.
And I think like the later ones, like in the PlayStation 2 era, they tried to like reboot it as like edgy.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think that was the killer. But I mean, you know, this has such a strong cultural presence. You know, like you look at, you know, when I was over in Japan this past summer, like you'd go to the Tokyo National Museum and you'd see all these artifacts, you know, like ancient historical artifacts, and then you see them also represented in this game. So there's a big cultural identity. I mean, Goemon in real life was like Japan's equivalent of Robin Hood. So there's even like a historical component to this character from the Edo period. And so, yeah, like it's wild that we got this. And again, it's wild that we got the one that can do the anime intro and the impact song and all of these things. Besides like Mystical Ninja, right? But that's very almost like you were all talking about before. They renamed characters, they changed it to be toned down in some areas, and then otherwise just like, you know, East Asian themed.
That is cool. I feel like we should have probably mentioned that earlier too, like the fact that it is based on like this real life folklore sort of hero that, I mean, kind of like Robin Hood, like we've seen now, like, you know, every 20 years or something, we gotta do a new take on Robin Hood. Like that character, that Goemon character, like you see it pop up in like different types of like aspect of Japanese culture, like anime and stuff like that. Like I don't know, I think that's fascinating too, that it's like a video game version of a folk hero who's like you said, like a pop, the mech is like a movie star. Like I don't know, it's like an interesting take on that. That is then we were actually watching like around the same time they released this game. Actually, they released the Game Boy game the same day as this game. And then around the same time, they brought to America an anime based on the game series. We watched the first episode earlier.
Hey, everybody, get ready for the action-packed story of a Game World Guardian. Get ready for the defender of good and despiser of evil. Me, Goemon!
Get on with it.
Huh?
And it's interesting to watch because they did an English dub of it, and in the anime, it's about the characters coming out of the video game and like existing in the real world. And it's very Japanese still, like, but it's interesting to think about that. It's like an American, like an American version of an anime about a character from a video game who's based on like a Japanese folk hero. Like there's just a lot to it, but I mean, every aspect to that makes it like a really interesting stew, I guess you could say.
Right. It's, they were clearly trying to make something happen, and bless them for it, because we get this and it's awesome. It's really good. Like I popped it in and even played like the first few minutes I even played. I was like, oh, this is one of the best things on the console, I think.
Yeah. I was immediately like taken with it too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and you mentioned the dungeon design. Like the dungeon design is like, the open world parts are very sparse at times, but the dungeon designs are like nicely dense, and like the camera's an issue, but like what camera isn't in 3D action games, even through like the Wii period? So, like,
Yeah.
overall, it's pretty good.
Yeah, well, shoot. Okay, I definitely want to talk about that, and I want to get some takes on the Japanese. Steve, did you learn much about Japanese culture from this game, and what did you think about the camera? 2 questions, I know.
Did I learn anything directly about Japanese culture? Well,
or history, I suppose you could say.
I learned the Goemon ramen connection from this, I guess. And while the camera's a easier question, I forgot all about how you had to hold down R and then do C for the camera stuff. Like, God bless them that they used all the buttons for everything, but oh man. I forgot
So I didn't
all
even know that
all
you could do that because I got this secondhand. So I was just like, oh, I'll wait for the camera to adjust. And then I would just like,
it does eventually too.
Did you find out all the stuff Impact can do because you needed the manual for that?
Yes, I used game FAQs for that one. I would not have finished the game if it were not for game FAQs on Impact's controls, because those are like complicated but really rewarding, but complicated.
I definitely needed some help with that. Yeah. Camera McKenna 3D camera has been definitely come up a lot on the show. It hindered you a little bit in Mario 64.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's better here necessarily.
No, I haven't felt like camera controls have improved yet.
You want a Z target.
Yeah. I think
They did not invent that yet.
some of the best camera controls in games we've played are ones where there are none.
Yeah.
And it just does it for you pretty much. I think this one I tried to avoid controlling it. I'll be like, it'll adjust to where it should be, even if I have to wait a sec.
It was usually pretty good to do it, I would say. Usually. The changing it does, like the actual controlling of it while you're doing stuff for me eventually became sort of like second nature, but it never fully got there because the camera you can never fully get it to do what you want, I would say. But like the act of like hitting the R and pressing it was easy to overcome, but yeah, it often wouldn't go as far as you wanted it to.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, how about the Japanese culture? Like you're someone like you're really into like, like media about different places and stuff like that, and there's like a lot of like stuff to kind of dig into with this game.
I learned that Mount Fuji has scaffolding and you can climb.
I've been there once and it was exactly like that. Yeah.
I really like when games pull from culture and folklore and stuff, more than just other video games.
Mm-hmm.
Which you can see some in here. Like there's the festival town. There's each town has different foods and
based on like the region in real life, sort of.
There was a blog I was reading where someone was trying to pinpoint what each town corresponded to in Japan based on what landscape or foods or cultural artifacts were there. The
map is cool.
Yes, the map is really cool to look at.
Of Japan,
just like, that's Japan.
That's awesome.
It's probably like, not to scale. But
yeah. You just walk up the mountain like on the scaffolding. And it's cool because it's like a historical setting. But again, to add to kind of the quirkiness of the game, there's like modern tech. There's like even like sci-fi stuff in the game, which is apparent like that carries throughout the series, but that like adds to it a lot, you know, like and it's like pretty commonplace. Like people are weirded out by the spaceship, but they're not weirded out by other like modern technology sort of things. So I think that's like a fun element of the game. And just in general, like all the places like do a good job of like feeling kind of distinct, like the towns and stuff. They all have like there's some similarities in like the tunes and stuff like that, but like the music is different from place to place, and the soundtrack in general is, I think, pretty awesome. Like I really we were just like listening to it all the way through the other day, and it's I think one of our favorite game soundtracks that we've encountered.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Like and actually going back and playing some of the other ones, this is pretty consistent across the series. I mean, it's Konami. Like, it's a Konami soundtrack, and it is really good one. And this one especially is really good, especially with the Impact song. I've seen quite a few like game cover bands. So when I lived in DC, I would go to MagFest a lot. I still go every few years, and it's a series that I had not noticed a bunch of songs were available for it. But yeah, there's a ton of bands that do covers of this and everything. It's really good.
Yeah, the like it nails so many things because it's got like sort of like traditional Japanese like instrumentation oftentimes, but also mixes in like pop and rock and like funk and stuff like that. It makes like modernizes it. It's like a really strong soundtrack. Steve, do you have any standout like tracks or music from the game that you recall?
There's the Impact song that we went over before.
Yes, so good. The theme, intro theme, is also another one we talked about. That's great. Yeah.
Actually, all the musical numbers are classic to me. That one right before the end is, I don't know, spoiler for everyone at home, is a good one too. I think the whole soundtrack's just full of bangers. Even the one where you're just going to Mount Fuji is just
a
nice traditional. Well, I don't know how traditional it really is, but it's a nice little, we're going on an adventure to Mount Fuji and gonna get a pipe from an old man song, for lack of a better term. I hope nothing bad happens.
Right.
I think of all the town themes are very pleasant. Like, yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good stuff. I was trying to pull up I think it was there. I think there was a handful of composers on this one, so I'll have to find that. I did not pull the credits for the composers, but I'm a big fan. I think this is one of the best soundtracks that we've had so far. We kind of talked about some of the aspects of like the length, and I was sort of tying it to the difficulty. Like you can kind of breeze through a lot of the game. Like I was looking that the producer and the director, I believe both now are they have Good Feel Games is their kind of current project. And I was looking at some of the games they've made that I've played are like some of the like the Yoshi games, like the more current Yoshi games and stuff like that of like the last few consoles. And it's sort of like some of the gameplay did sort of remind me of that, where it's like it's not super, like a lot of the combat and stuff, it's not super difficult. Same thing with the bosses. Not difficult, but like kind of engaging. Definitely it feels like it's maybe meant to be for a younger audience. Some underwhelming aspects, but other than a couple moments where it's like either like just kind of like some little annoying quirk about it, or I thought like the last like Impact fight was difficult for me. Otherwise I did not, I don't know, I found like it was kind of a breeze, but in like a pleasant way to play through. Steve, what'd you think about the difficulty?
Playing it today was a lot easier than it was playing it when I was younger, because I don't know, I'm older. I played a lot more games since then. I don't think I've seen the game over screen. Well, I had to be I was trying to look for some kind of reaction gif to send you people before, and I found the game over screen. I'm like, oh, those guys. I remember these cosmic hula hoop guys that I never saw in this particular playthrough.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, man.
Never game
That was another banger track that I forgot to bring up. I'm like, but yeah, you pretty much breeze through this one. There's a live system. I don't think you'd really need that. I don't know. They were just making the game they made back then.
Yeah.
Anyone can really play this one, I think.
Yeah. It was mostly, like I said, other than I did struggle a little bit. It only took me a couple tries, but I got pretty stressed out in the last Impact battle, for sure. Chris, how about you? Like, what was that sort of like the difficulty progression or just the general gameplay in that regard?
Because I didn't have the instructions for Impact right away. I hit what I was worried was a brick wall at that moment, because I was like, what am I supposed to be doing? This should be awesome, but I'm so stressed. But I eventually got it, and yeah, like some of those fights are like weird difficulty spikes in this game. The game is very breezy. I like that now.
Yeah.
It has a very Konami style of enemy design where they're just kind of like things in your way and you have to like get them out of the way. Because like Castlevania is like that. I wrote a book on like Metroidvania and action adventure design after like while working on Nemo, but also after a game I made on Game Boy called Kudzu. Which is very like Link's Awakening style with like a Metroidvania-ish like structured world where it's just like one big maze. And so I think a lot about like the tone of those games, because if you play like Silk Song, that game wants to beat you to death. And a lot of my students are like, oh, I want to be into Metroidvanias, but Silk Song's really hard. And I have to be like, no. Castlevania like wants you to beat it. Metroid wants you to beat it. This is very much one of those games where it's just kind of like is cool things to see, but it's not really pushing back that hard. And I really like that about this game. The impact fights are spikes, but you can kind of get past them with a few tries and are like just a really nice, like Steve said, there's these mini games throughout that give you like a quick change of gameplay, and I really like that a lot about it, where it's just a nice variety of things to do. I think it's really effective. But it's nice that the game doesn't make you have to do like intense combat with some of the random enemies, like Souls likes and things now do,
Sure.
which I love, but what I don't want to play when I don't want to play one.
Yeah, I went the opposite direction. We finished this up, we went out of town, and I came back, and now I'm playing Silk Song. I was like, I'm having too pleasant of a time. Let's change the pace up a little bit. I don't know if you had much to say about that, because I think you did a lot of like exploring the world and stuff like that, and I was like, I'll do the dungeons.
I did some of the dungeons.
Yeah, okay. I don't remember our exact setup, but I feel like
you did all the, or maybe most of the impact.
It was really only the last one that was
manual.
hard.
Yeah.
I was like getting pissed.
We had to do the mini games a couple times. I think maybe just because that was a different, it wasn't what we had been doing the whole time. So we had to, figure out what to do.
There's like the one where you had to shoot like the face
things. To keep it from
popping a balloon or something.
Yeah.
It was like really difficult for like 5 tries, and then it wasn't difficult at all on the 6th try. And I was like, oh, I think I just, sometimes you're just doing something and you're like not understanding like exactly how it works, and then you're like, wait, what if I try this? And you're like, oh, that's exactly what I was supposed to do. I was just like understanding it wrong. I'm sorry, Chris, what was it that you were going to bring up?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, you brought up Good Feel, that Ibisu was part of. Ibisu, by the way, is like Ibisu Maru is named after him.
Yes, yeah.
I found out in like my prep research for the show. But have you seen Bakaru?
I came to know about it that, I think I heard about it like around when it came out, and I kind of forgot, and then like, as we were prepping, I was like looking into them, and then I saw that game and looked up, and I was like, oh, I haven't played it yet, but I like need to play this because it looks like it kind of is in the same vein as this game.
It's a lot of the same staff, and it's very much a spiritual successor to Goemon in general, but specifically like this game. And I've played it. I've played a few levels. It is extremely good. It is very much like Goemon. And you watch the trailer, and you're like, oh, but surely he won't have a giant robot. There it is. All right. Giant robot.
It's a crucial part.
It's really cool. It's a really cool game. So I highly recommend it to people if you're into this. It's kind of the spiritual successor, even specifically to like Mystical Ninja. It's got a lot of the same kind of humor and world building and gameplay and things like that.
That's good news because time to blow the fine time dog whistle. It's in the pile. I waited for the Switch 2 to come out so it would run it better.
Oh,
I'll play it soon.
So we're gonna hopefully hear about that on Vine Time.
Eventually, yes. We'll be hitting the. I'm playing other things, right? ZA. But we'll get soon.
We'll get to it. That's how I feel. Like there's like an infinite amount of games I want to play, and now I'm playing this game that's taking up so much of my time. And I don't get to a lot of games because I'm also every other week playing a Nintendo 64 game, and I'm like, I gotta put enough time into Kobe Bryant and NBA courtside to make sure I can really give my honest opinion about it. So that
I had a lot of people ask me like, "Oh, what are you playing?" And I'd be like, "Mystical Ninja starring Goemon." They'd be like, "What?" I'm like, it's on N64, and but it actually like. Because I played it so recently, it came up in like several like of my lectures. I'll be like a game like Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, and my students are looking at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, no, you got to go check it out if you're into N64 games. But yeah, no, it was a nice length. Like as a dad who can't just like spend all day on a game anymore. It was like a week or two of just hour sessions like in the evenings, and it just didn't overstay its welcome. Was just a good length, but it was like dense. You felt like you did a lot.
Yeah, it really does. It's pretty good about like the adventure feels grand even though it's tiny, and like I mean, we looked up where to go a couple of times to expedite things, but the game is pretty good about like if you talk to everyone, you'll get a good idea about what you need to do. And like plasma, as you mentioned, is a great, the classic hint system in that. Like I think you're not going to get too tripped up playing it. I don't think there's not. I think there was one time we had to pay the witch to get something, and we didn't have enough money, so it was like, oh, let's go.
Oh God, that's right.
Yeah, that's a move that you can make in your game design, and part of me wants to be like, oh, that's so 1998, except Donkey Kong Bonanza did that same thing, kind of like artificially gating part of the game behind like having to go grind for money. I'm like, oh. So I actually like really hated that moment in this game more because Bonanza did it, and I just finished Bonanza. So I was like, come on.
That's where I was too. I finished them around the same time. I didn't mind in that because I spent a lot of time just screwing around in Bonanza, so I was usually doing okay. But I would imagine if you weren't screwing around as much, it would probably...
I was screwing around a lot, but I was also like buying stuff a lot. So I was just like, I'm out of money. Like
I was, I had to get every
people
outfit.
People at home, if you're playing a Mystical Ninja starring Goemon right now and you're also strapped for cash, you could just go to the first room in the first castle and just smash those pots again and again for money. That's where the money comes from.
Yep, that's someone told us to do
that's
that.
What I did.
And that's what we did. At first we were just in the first town. There's like that one like platform and water where you just like get like 4 every time, and then someone was like, go to the castle. And we did.
Yes.
I think we actually would have been fine for the witch, but I think right before it, I can't remember which one
we
of us.
bought something.
We're like, we should buy this thing. It's cool. We got money.
Yeah.
We don't need the money.
There's like gold armor or something.
Cool gold armor that we immediately lost because you get hit. And the armor, like, I like the food, even though I didn't ever need it because of the, like you mentioned, the cultural, like, oh, this region has this type of food. And you see it, like the little low poly food, and it's cool. Staying at the inn is fun, again, even though you don't necessarily need it. But the armor, I'm never buying any armor again in that game. If I ever play it again, I'll play it again. But yeah, I do have just, you made me think, like, whenever I'm talking to, like, I have a coworker who's like really into gaming, and he's like, what you been playing lately? And sometimes it is like, oh, DK Bonanza or Silksong. And then other times he's like, what you been playing? And I'm like, Nagano Winter Olympics for the N64, and he's like, what are you, he looks at me like I'm crazy, you know.
Right.
I have to like explain to, like, I don't want to tell him about the podcast, you know, so it's like I'm just doing it to do it. Speaking of Konami, that's actually, Konami's been one of our more prolific developers so far in our timeline, but we've only played, I think, sports games from them, right? So I think this was our first, not that there's anything wrong with that, but it was just kind of cool to get something else. And while we're there, I guess I want to shout out I did look up the composers. There's 4, who I assume that we've heard their music in other games on our podcast, like Nagano Winter Olympics. Shigeru Araki, Yusuke Kato, Saiko Miki, and Yasumasa Kitagawa. So I'm guessing that's a lot of their house composers. I'm sure some of the more fine-eared listeners can shout out some of their other work, but they did a phenomenal job with the soundtrack, I would say. All the Konami games that we've played, soundtracks have been really good. The Nagano Winter Olympics soundtrack was quite nice, actually, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this was next level.
Yeah.
Okay, so Chris, you did mention sort of the Metroidvania elements of this, or I think that always scratches an itch for me, because again, it's like Zelda, where it's like, oh, I've got this item, now I can do all this stuff, and this game had that for sure, and I think that was like one standout element was the different characters and their different abilities and stuff like that. Like you had and they were unique, you know. You had like the camera that Ebisumaru had, you could use on ghosts, or Ye's ability to like turn into a mermaid and swim underwater was pretty cool. I don't know, McKenna, what did you think about the different characters? You had a favorite, obviously, but
yeah, Ye was my favorite character. I kept calling this game Mystical Ninja starring Ye. Ye Sanjo! Because I would always play as her if I didn't have to use someone else's ability.
And I think they were all like, they all played like kind of differently enough that it was you could.
Every time we got someone new, we had to see how they crawled around or like tiptoed, because they all have unique animations.
Yeah, that was nice. That was a little extra spice. Like all the characters, like you get like some cutscenes with them, but I think you get like, even just playing with them, you kind of get like you get a sense in the game you're playing, like this is a series. This is a series that's been going on. This is not the first game, and these characters have been in them before. But you get a good sense of like their personality. I don't know how accurate it is to the other games or whatever, but like you get a like kind of a good idea about what their character's like just through playing as them. Steve, did you have a favorite character to like play as, or anything, a favorite ability or anything like that?
I liked using Sasuke just because he had the triple knives and the bombs and things. Something I liked about using Sasuke and Ye in particular was just when you killed enemies in general, you sliced them in half instead of just, bonking them. And I just like the 90s anime explosion sound effects in general, but here you got that swing. Like, yeah, this is a 90s video game AF for sure.
Yeah, any character explosions like that, I love that. Chris, how about you? Do you have favorite like character ability or anything?
I also would play as Yae or Sasuke quite a bit because same thing of just the like feel of slicing enemies in half that was extremely satisfying. Um, I do Goemon from time to time because it's like it's Goemon.
Dandy!
I played as Yae a lot because of the sword swinging thing. Um, I don't know if this is actually the case, but her sword swing felt faster. So I don't know if that was just like my perception or not, but it was, she felt like she was a really good character to use. So I used her a lot. I really like the individual. You mentioned the camera, you mentioned some of these other powers. I love it when you have a game that gates with like power ups, but the power ups feel like really unique. It's not just like somebody gets a double jump, somebody gets it's just like variations on Metroid things. It's like, oh, a mermaid, that's cool. A camera that lets you see hidden pathways, that's cool. And they would like use them for different things. It wasn't just you can blow up one kind of block in one area. It's like across the board, there was stuff to use them for. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I thought that was neat. Like how, like, even in like they did a good job in like the last stage where it was like, oh, you kind of got to use a mix of everything at the end. And I did have that thing where I imagined, well, I don't know if I imagined it, but like, yeah, I had that impression that like, Yae's sword swing was faster, but I felt like other characters, their attack had like a bigger like hitbox or something like that.
I was just gonna say I felt like Sasuke ran faster, which is why I favored him a lot, but I'm sure that's wrong.
It seemed like he jumped better too, like his jump controls were better, but again, I don't know if that's true, but it felt like that just because it was like, oh, he's like little and he's floating around. I don't know, like, but that's
Right.
It definitely gave that. I couldn't tell you for sure, but that's how it felt for me.
You also mentioned like you not knowing if the animations were accurate to like some of the other games, and they are because again, playing Goemon 3 on Super Famicom, like if you crawl, it's the same crawls. If all the little like character moments are in there. This is a really remarkable N64 game for the amount of like character appeal and just like character uniqueness that they put into everybody. Everybody has like just they're like a little delightfully unhinged, and I love that about it. How like Goemon squirms like an inchworm across the ground when he crawls. It's just great. So it's not like you got to get to the other characters that you unlock for weird animations. You get it like right away with Goemon and Ibisumaru, and it's just amazing.
It doesn't Ibisumaru, he goes like upside down when he does it, right?
He's like on his back,
Well,
Yeah.
He has.
To be fair, if I was as a fellow fat person, if I had to pretend I was a ninja, I would also go on my back and crawl around like that too.
That'd be the most like in your element, you think? Okay.
That would probably be right.
Yeah, I don't know, I think the game is it is full of a lot of charm and like a lot of little extra details. It does feel like, yeah, it feels really remarkable, even though, like I said, like there's definitely some like performance issues and some camera issues and things like that, but there's so much more that sure, it's probably not like the most like perfectly like, I don't know, designed game or whatever, and it's kind of breezy, not that there is anything wrong with that, but it's not like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like the most like maybe balanced game or anything like that, if that's the right word, but there's so much like stuff put into it that's so like charming and unique at that time, especially, and like appealing, that like I don't know, I feel really strongly about it. Like I definitely want to dive deeper into the other games in the series and Bakaru and stuff like that. Maybe watch some more of the anime. I don't know. It's cool. And the game, looking at the reviews of the game, it got like average reviews. It was apparently, enough of a success to get another sequel in America. So I don't know. I think there's enough to this game. McKenna, do you have any other thoughts on the game you wanted to say?
I liked the fast travel dragon.
Oh yeah, you played.
It was a
flute?
long animation, but yeah. You
Sometimes
get
it was annoying, and you're like, oh, right.
Sometimes I'd accidentally press it and be like, oh no. I feel like, quick, cancel
You
it.
could cancel it. The other times you get stuck and you'd have to warp. Even that section where you have to unlock it and you're like going up the dragon and the camera's kind of wobbling and you feel like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a unique like set piece.
They don't let Abisumaru play. He says he can play the flute, but Ye also says she can play the flute. And they're like, let's give it to Ye.
They trust her with it, yeah. That is a great part. And you fast travel to all the coffee houses.
Yeah.
Which is also cool.
Yes.
I like the coffee
I
houses.
do like the coffee houses.
Steve, how about you? Any other thoughts or notes you had on the game that you want to get out before we call it quits?
I mean, it's probably between this game and getting my cheap copy of Earthbound in that summer too. I think that's probably responsible for why I'm the mess I am today. So sorry about all of that, everyone that listens to me somewhat semi-regularly. It was fun being here, though. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you could go on record and apologize for that. Chris, any other mystical ninja thoughts?
Yeah, I guess like I was playing it and I was like, man, I'm mad at myself that I've not been playing this for like 25 plus years.
Right.
But I guess like if the best time to play it was at release, the second best time to play it was now. Like I said, I mean, I went back and forth on whether I think 1998 me would have been into it, but would have been like, I don't know, too much of a teenager and not familiar with like some of the tropes of Japanese media to really like know what was going on. Now I'm just like, this is great. I am here for this. I want more games to be this silly and colorful and everything. So this was like really I'm excited to play more Bakaru because I want to see like, well, if they're not going to make another Goemon, but these are the same people, like, okay, here's our next Goemon. So I'm excited to see that and how that unfolds.
Yeah. I think what you're saying, about like playing it at that age, I think that might be why it hit for me when I played the both the games, is because like I was like 10 or 11. I think it was just before, like it was a few years later when I like became a teen where I started to feel that like I don't like that stuff that I used to like, and sort of that shame of like remembering my younger self and like the cheesy stuff I was into. So I think maybe, or like just anything perceived as like kiddie or silly, you know, I definitely was like, I want only serious stuff. You know, I'm 13 years old. I'm an adult, you know, like, so I think that's probably why it hit so hard for me at the time, though. I guess it didn't, I don't know. It didn't, I mean, it was always in my memory. Like I always had fond memories of it. But I have that same feeling. Like we do every year, like we participate at the Zelda Dungeon charity marathon every year. And we do, you know, not speed runs really, but we play through a lot of Zelda games and in one sitting and do runs of them and stuff. And this is like a game where I'm like, I should be doing this game for. We would never have it at the Zelda Dungeon Marathon, but I would much rather figure out how to do a 5-hour run of this or whatever than do Twilight Princess again.
So because there's no fall damage, I can just jump off the top of Mount Fuji after getting my link pipe, and then we'll run to the first castle.
It didn't feel right. I just fell and then slid down the bottom. I was like, that's
what I did too. Yeah.
Should get that game over screen, I think.
Hey everyone, my name's Darren Hupke. I'm a writer, publisher, and podcaster. My podcast is called Pixels and Polygons. Each week I sit down with a guest and ask one simple video game question. It's a random topic each week and it leads to a fun conversation. You can find it on your favorite podcast platform every Friday, and you can read more about it at pixelsandpolygons.net.
Side
real sweet. Yeah, cool game. Well, just to let everyone know, I already mentioned it. I name dropped it already, but our next game we're going to be covering in our timeline is Kobe Bryant in NBA Courtside. We have a great set of guests for that one. That's going to be a lot of fun. We'll talk about it in the episode, but thank you, Chris. Thank you, Steve, for coming. We already talked about your stuff, but Steve, if you'd like to, give one more plug for Find Time, let people know what it is, where they can find it, whatever.
Yeah, real quick. Find Time is a podcast that I do with Andre and Kevin. Every week we put up an episode. Even if it kills us, it's on everywhere you can find a podcast. You'll find it. You'll have a fine time with us.
It's a great. I've said before, great. One of my favorite gaming podcasts. I think I'm a week behind, but I was just listening to it. It might have been. I was listening to you going over your bets and how you might play Anthem. So,
it came in the mail. It's happening.
Oh my god! Okay,
you can't get it off the storefront. I paid $4 for my copy of Anthem that I have to play through before
it was.
See, this is why I don't have time for backroom.
Yeah, I got to play Anthem before it dies. No, it was great to have you on. I love the show. I want to get we got to get Kevin on sometime. I've talked to him a little bit, but we have to find like the right game for him, and that's one thing. We're kind of we're kind of stuck with our timeline a little bit, and so we haven't had the right one come up. But we're gonna get Kevin on as well. Yeah, shout out to Kevin.
We love Kevin.
We love Kevin. Yeah. The most sensible member, I'll say. No, I'm just kidding. Chris, thank you so much for coming on. And let everyone know about your stuff as well.
So first of all, thanks for having me on. I've been listening since some of the early episodes, and just the early Blue Sky days. You were one of the official Blue Sky, official podcast of Blue Sky.
We don't like them anymore now. We don't like them.
Okay.
But we're on, that's the only place we're on still. So I don't know what's going to happen if enough people get too ticked off about Blue Sky, but sorry, I don't mean to interrupt your plug.
No, you're okay. Follow me on Blue Sky, totter87.bsky.social. And then my game is Little Nemo and the Nightmare Fiends, which you can wishlist now on Steam, and we are pushing towards our Steam early access release. So please help us get our wishlist count up.
Sorry, I'm going to do that
when it goes on early access. Awesome. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have not done that yet. I apologize.
Oh, you're fine.
I will do that immediately after we're done.
Like you said, there's too many games. There's so many games.
This I'm excited about. Like I said, it checks a lot of. Oh, McKenna's doing it right now. It checks a lot of boxes for me. It looks so sweet. I'm pumped about that. So yeah, thank you guys. It was great. I appreciate you guys coming on. Sometimes we just mash up two total strangers on episode, and I appreciate you guys. I think this was a great set of guests, a great episode, a great game. And it's great. I feel reinvigorated, de-rusted, and I'm ready to play some more basketball. Let's do it. Let's get on the court.
Yeah, let's go.
Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you. We got something else coming between then on one of our off weeks, but I don't know what it is. So yeah, take it easy. Bye.
Bye.
燃える太陽背に受けて行くぞ発進マシンがうなる俺は機械だ鉄人だ今解き放てよ鋼の魂行くぜブレイクダウン悪い奴らをぶち壊せ必殺限界パワーだ百裂パンチ俺はゴージャスインパクト
The ZeldaCast is getting even bigger. Join us on patreon.com/SPNet for access to the ZeldaCast XL, the new bonus show featuring podcasting's dynamic duo, Andy Spiteri and Gooey Fame.
We're taking a new approach to do our bonus shows and giving you more of what you love, letting you get more involved in the show itself. Each month, we'll have some fun and play a few games, answer some Patreon questions, and discuss some Zelda topics on a more personal level.
Consider joining for only $4 a month, and you can ask us questions about Zelda or anything else on your mind. Let us know what topics and segments you want us to discuss, and be a part of an amazing community of Zelda fans hosted by two best friends.
The ZeldaCast XL is taking everything you love about the show and ramping it up even more. So come and hang out with us, only on patreon.com/spnet.